Hello and welcome to my space here. Today I wanted to do a little talk about capitalism consciousness and why it's making you feel burnt out. I want to talk about this because I feel really passionate about it. Honestly, capitalism is something that I think is really destroying the mind, the human body, and the human spirit. So it's really taking a toll on our mental health, it's taking a toll on our physical health, and it's taking a toll on our spiritual health. And you can also think of spiritual health as energetic health. So think of, like your aura, think of, your own space, your own, it's kind of like your own, I just want to talk about the aura, right? And so a lot of times, we can allow outside influences, right? And think of capitalism, think of consumerism, and this year, this time of year is meant to be for us to slow down, to really retreat within, to take a rest, to take a break, to like I said, slow down, to almost come to a complete halt, a complete stop. And if you think about our society and how masculine oriented it is, it's overly masculine driven. So it makes us want to go, consume, and a lot of our values in this country are based off money, right? And that's kind of the whole purpose, the whole purpose of our country, right, is to make a lot of money, and we're good at it. Let's be honest, we are. That's not the problem. The problem is that we're not living in alignment with nature, right? And nature is here for a reason. If nature wasn't here, we wouldn't be here, right? And she is our teacher. She is teaching us to live by the seasons, and we need to learn to slow down this time of year. And it's actually really messed up because this time of year we're pushed even more to the point of stress yourself out, burn yourself out, spend tons of money, and that's not what this time of year is about. It's about presence, right? And we have this huge delusion that it's about presence and gifts and shiny things, right? And we're chasing the dollar signs this time of year. And what we're actually supposed to be doing is being grateful for the abundance that we've reaped over the entire course of the year. And remember, abundance doesn't always look like financial abundance. Sometimes abundance is health. Sometimes abundance is, peace. Sometimes abundance is connection, right? And what's really important is to remind yourself of those things and to remind yourself of all the things that are surrounding you, like your family. And maybe we're not even surrounded by family right now because of COVID this year. And this year is actually an even more impactful year than years before, right? And consumerism and capitalism gets me fired up because it's literally diluting your mind to make you overgive and overextend your time and your energy, right, this time of year, in order to feel, and then you feel depleted. And this time of year, we're supposed to be filling ourselves up so that when summertime comes, when springtime comes, we're ready to go, we're ready to rock and roll. And that's the whole purpose of living in alignment with the cycles of Earth. So this time of year, we should be dying with the Earth, right? And really getting into this, when we connect with the Earth, we really begin to see how this time of year affects our bodies. And it truly does. And a lot of you might feel a lot more stress. You might feel a lot more tension this time of year. And that's because your body's calling you to say, hey, pay attention to me. You've worked your ass off the last year. You've been going, and maybe you've been doing this for years. Maybe you've been going and going and you don't know how to stop. You don't know how to take care of yourself. Maybe you don't, because our society does not teach us this, right? Because it doesn't profit from it. And you have to remember that our society is really sick. And so the only way we can make our society better and heal it is by healing ourselves. And the more we collectively heal, right? Because right now it's capitalism consciousness, which is this idea that life is money, right? And that we have this huge, desire, right, to attach our sense of self-worth to our productivity and to how much we're making. And this can really take a toll on this time of year when we're slowing down, we're not being as productive, we're not making as much money maybe, And can we be in that space, hold that space for ourselves, and not beat ourselves up, not attach our sense of self-worth to how much we are doing, to how much we are producing, to how much we are making, right? That will totally tear down your self-esteem. If your sense of self is attached to these things and attached to a certain number, right? Even if it's a certain number on a scale, right? Your worth cannot be measured. Your worth is not measured in how much you make each year. It's It's not measured in how much is in your savings account. It's not measured on the number that's on the scale. It's not measured by your credit score. That's not your sense of self-worth. Your sense of self-worth comes from in, and you're innately valuable. Like, you are completely and 100% valuable in this moment as you are. Whatever you have in this physical world or whatever you don't have, does not take away your sense of value. Because you are innately valuable, and it's so hard to remember because our society pushes the opposite, right? And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about consumerist persuasion and being persuaded by like capitalism. It's this need and this desire to constantly go, to constantly be, to fill this void space with more and more and more and more and more stuff. And think about our planet. It is taking a fucking toll on our planet that we're consuming this. And I'm talking about Christmas too. I cannot stand, I have a huge, and if you're here because you followed me on Instagram and you read the post, then you know how I have a huge, I have a huge problem with Santa, okay? Santa really gets me really angry. He gets me really mad. And I just, honestly, I don't have the words for it right now because, but it's funny because I can talk about it forever. Like, my disdain for Santa is real. Like, and every year that I begin to awaken, and every year I become closer and closer to my own, heart space and connected to Christ, the more I get mad that Santa is a ploy that's being sold to our young minds as truth, right? And it's told as a story about magic. And truly, it is not magical at all. It's a big fucking lie, and we've been taught to lie to our children and to give them presents, right? To completely disconnect from ourselves and give them gifts instead of our presence. And what our children need more than toys, more than money, more than anything in the world, they need our presence. They need our connection. If you're not connected to yourself, if you're not present with yourself, you're going to disconnect from your children. You're not going to be present with them and their feelings and their emotions, and you're going to try to micromanage them and control them and manipulate them to make you feel like you're in control, right? That you have some kind of power over them. And that's why I said this in my last week I was talking about how we use Santa to manipulate our children. Like by saying, oh, if you don't pick up your toys, Santa's not going to bring you any this year. Like that is a huge form of manipulation. And we're using Santa, this made-up character, right, to lie to our children and to spend more money and to give them things and to make the relationship transactional rather than an exchange. And our souls are looking for soul exchanges. When we're incarnating into families, we're looking for that soul exchange. We're looking at what is this soul coming to teach me? Why am I incarnating into this family? What are the lessons I need to learn? And we want to have those exchanges, right? We want to have that emotional intimacy. But I don't know about you, but I did not have emotional intimacy with my parents. They were so disconnected from their emotions that they couldn't even be with mine. And every time I had emotions, they would try to make them go away so that they didn't really have to deal with them because they were evoking emotions within themselves, right? They couldn't be present and sit with them. So that's what the gift is. If you want to give your kids the best gift you could ever give them presents. Your presence. Not gifts from a store. Think about how many toys and kids' toys are made out of plastic. That's what I mean when it's like taking a toll on our earth. Like there's an overconsumption of things that are not needed. Your children don't need more toys. They need more connection, right? They need to connect with their own bodies. They need to connect with their own minds, with their own spirits. They need to connect with their talents and their gifts. Their gifts, which have nothing to do with anything externally, but their gifts come from within. And it's our job, in my opinion, as parents, to kind of reveal these gifts, to kind of find these little treasures, these little gifts inside of our children. But instead, we're so, we don't know how to love from a place of emotional connection. We don't, because we're trying to love from here, our mind, our ego conditioning. And our ego conditioning, it cannot love, but you know what it does love? It loves to be in control. It loves to have it's obsessed with money. Like if you're obsessed with money this time of year, if you're fixated on money, that's your ego. Because this time of year, your soul is calling out for love, right? And that's the energy of Christ consciousness. It's this unconditional love. And a lot of us, we're like I said, we're trying to love from up here, and we can't love from the ego. We can only love from in the heart. So a lot of times we love from these projections of what we believe love are. And for me, like, I believe love was pain. I believe love was putting each other down. I believe love was abandonment. I believe love was rejection. I believe love was self-betrayal. And so those are things I probably would have created in a relationship had I not taken the route to truly dive into myself and truly love myself and unconditionally love myself. So sit with those emotions that I had that my parents couldn't sit with, right? So all those times I neglected myself and didn't allow myself to feel those emotions, I had to come and be in the present moment, feel those emotions of grief, of sadness, of loss, of anger that I didn't allow myself to feel then. Sit with them now, be present with those emotions now, and truly give myself the gift of healing. And think of Christ, he's a healer, right? So, and healing doesn't come from outside of you. Healing comes from loving yourself unconditionally. It comes from, think about how forgiving Christ is, right? And think about Christ. He sat with everybody, the poor, the whores, right? He did not discriminate. He allowed, to love everyone, regardless of, even the people that were, wanting him dead, right? His mission was to love unconditionally. It was really to spread the awareness of like compassion and love and forgiveness and loving each other as one, right? That unity consciousness, like what exists in me. And Christ now, he exists in everyone, right? Christ is within. And we think that Christ is some like external factor, and that's been taught a lot in religion, and that's where Santa stems from, right? It's this like religion, and it's like organized religion, right? So religion kind of gives this false sense of power over people, and it can make you feel like really bad or like you are a sinner, and so think about like cliques, and like think of different organizations and different religions, like Baptists and Catholics and Christians. They're all different things. It's kind of like the same concept at school. There's the jocks and there's the stoners and there's the popular people. It's like the same concept, but it's like a bigger the larger view, if you look at it from religion, and really allowing ourselves to like, okay, we don't have to place each other in boxes, right? We are not here to be consumed. We are not measured by a number, right? We're too immeasurable. Like, our soul is so dynamic, it's so multidimensional, it can express so many different facets of itself, and our society loves to put things in boxes, right? Gender roles, for example. It's the same concept, like putting people in labels and boxes, and this limits souls. And what we really need on this planet is that soul connection, right? And that's going to be our anchor. That's going to like really dig us down deep into the earth, is that connection to our soul. And when you connect with your body this time of year, and you connect with earth, that is your sense of support. That's your abundance. That's your connection, right? That's your sense of value. So a lot of what's happening right now is a lot of people are having shift in values. They're recognizing like, wow, the things I used to value and the things I used to give all my time and energy to, they're not supporting me. They're not helping me be a better person. They're not giving me the fulfillment that I desire. They're not helping me grow. They're not helping me expand, and so we're recognizing, oh wow, I need to shift my values. And what does that mean? It means giving your time and energy to things that are going to support you, support your mind, support your body, support your heart, support your health, support your overall well-being, right? So that's what in supporting your growth, supporting yourself so that you feel really strong from the inside out. And when you begin to have that really close connection with Christ, the more you'll recognize how Christmas and Santa is a big fucking hoax. It's a big delusion that we're all playing into, and that is taking a huge toll on humanity and a huge toll on the earth, right? So if we could shift this one little thing, right? If we could celebrate Christmas in a brand new way by, maybe meditating or going on a very beautiful vacation where you're connected to the earth. Maybe it's getting your children massages, or maybe it's like getting them something that's going to help them in their mind, their body, their spirit, Instead of just giving them toys, instead of just giving them gifts, how can you celebrate in ways that are really going to support the earth and her evolution, and that are really going to support their spirits, right? How can you give them the gift of connecting with their spirit this year? Because Christ is within. He is the spirit, right? So stop teaching your children to find it externally in toys, in different things like Christmas lights. That's not where the magic of the season comes from. And you'll begin, how many adults are like, oh, this sucks, and they're miserable this time of year, they're feeling sad, they're feeling tired, they're feeling burnt out, they're not feeling good enough, because their whole sense of self is placed on this like place of like over giving, and they don't allow themselves to receive. And this time of year, we're meant to be receiving, and we're meant to be receiving the love of Christ. That's what this year is all about. He's going to get us through anything, right? And when we can lay down our worries, and we can learn to have faith and put down our burdens, right? And allow him to carry us through this time. And however that looks for you is going to be different. You have to go within and listen to your answers, listen to your guidance that he's giving you. He communicates with all. And the center and the seat of Christ is this, your third eye, right? And a lot of people aren't taught that in religion, right? To seek Christ from within. We're taught to seek him in a Bible, right? Or to seek him in scripture, but he is not there. I mean, he is, sure. But he's here in the present moment. He's ever present, and that's where the magic comes from. Seriously, when you connect with that, you're like, oh my gosh, like, man, and then and I felt so lonely and disconnected around Christmas time when I was a kid, even just in the fall time, because nobody was nurturing, like, nobody was saying, like, it's okay to feel, slow. I move at a really slow pace this time of year. I have to be really patient with myself because I'm also a go-getter, and I like to move 1,000 miles an hour. Don't get me wrong. I love to keep myself busy. I love to keep myself distracted because, why? It keeps me, numbing out my emotions. It keeps me from really coming into my heart center and either one feel like, because this time of year I either feel like big amounts of love, but I also feel huge pools of grief, So, and it's just like this energy, and then all my shadows come up of all the times I felt lonely and disconnected this time of year when I was a kid, and how I would pray and I would, hope, I would have so much hope that things would get better for me, and here I am at this place now. It's been how many years now, but that I can be and I can sit in this place and feel completely present and connected and be completely alone, right? And not be surrounded by anyone. And I know that this is going to be a really challenging year with COVID and being isolated from family members. This is going to be the first Christmas I have without my dad, and so it's going to be really challenging for me too. So you're not alone. But you're probably going to feel alone. And a lot of people, it's funny because a lot of people will be surrounded by family members. I remember feeling this way as a kid. Tell me below if you ever felt this way or if it's something that you struggled with. But like being surrounded by people and still feeling all alone, right? And now that I get to connect with myself and I actually get to be alone and I get to sink into my aloneness, I don't really see it as this place of being alone. This is where I deeply connect to my spirit. It's where I deeply connect to Christ. It's where I deeply connect to my guides, to my angels, to my ancestors, right? And so that's where my dad will be in the present moment, right? And that's where our loved ones, if we're missing them, will be. And we can communicate with our loved ones who are still alive through the present moment, and if we're thinking about them, they will feel it, right? Whether we're having happy, beautiful thoughts about them or we're having not so nice thoughts about them, they will feel it, even if they're not aware of their feelings. We can still communicate with one another through time and space. And I think that's one thing that we're really going to be learning over the next few years is that, time and space doesn't really limit us as much as we've been made to believe. So we can really create this sense of connection and feeling close to one another, like if there's different things you like about other people that connect you with them, say it to them, reach out, give people, compliments this time of year. And this will really help you to learn how to receive, right? So one thing you can kind of work on within yourself is recognizing how hard it is for you to receive compliments. Like if somebody compliments you, you kind of like disregard it, or you're like, oh, like instead of just saying like, oh, thank you, and then like really giving compliments to other people, whether it's a stranger on the street, like complimenting them because you like their shoes or their hair or their shirt or their purse, whatever it is. You can compliment anybody, and those are beautiful gifts, and that will make somebody's day, and it will energize you to make somebody else feel good, right? So when we're learning how to make ourselves feel good, it's going to be really hard because we're so dependent on it coming from outside of us, whether it be from our morning coffee, or whether it come and we're trying to give that up this time of year, or it's coming from like we're used to relying it onto a relationship, but maybe now we're single and we don't know how to rely on it from ourselves, right? So really learning how to create this own love for yourself, doing things that make you feel connected to your mind, your body, and your spirit are really going to help you feel this sense of support that you might feel is like lacking in the external world. But what we're being taught, and what Christ is a teacher too, so what he's teaching us is he's saying, come back to me, beloved. Come back. I'm right here. I'm right here in the present moment. When you think you're alone and your ego's chattering and telling you all these stories that you're going to be alone forever, that nobody loves you, that whatever it is for you, whatever your ego tries to tell you, come back to the present moment and sink into your heart space. And when you can connect with your heart and doing things that connect you with your heart space, that make you feel good, connecting with your passions this time of year. Maybe it's singing, maybe it's playing an instrument, maybe it's painting, maybe it's writing, maybe it's drawing, maybe it's cooking, maybe it's dancing, whatever it is for you, immerse yourself in those things, right? And this time of year, and our society has taught us, seek it from outside, consume it. right? Consume it, and then you feel drained, and then you try to find it, you try to fill this void, and you try to fill this void with everything externally. And Spirit is saying, come back within, and fill yourself with the presence of love, with the presence of peace, and the presence of joy, right? That's the meaning of Christmas, in my opinion, is to spread peace and joy and connection and love, right? Not just spread material things, right? So allow yourself to connect with those things and give those things to yourself, right? Practice giving and receiving this time of year. Build yourself up, fill yourself full of love and peace and connection in whatever way does it for you. And then practice giving that peace, that joy, that love, that connection to other people. And this will begin to, come back boomerang, and it'll begin to form a new cycle. Where instead you're like depleting yourself, you're not taking care of yourself, and then you're trying to overtake and caretake everyone and try to make everyone else happy, try to make everyone else feel connected, try to make everyone feel, and you're not treating yourself, And I don't mean treating yourself with material objects. I mean treating yourself with the time and energy and the care and the love that you deserve and that you need, right? And finding that joy and that happiness and that peace within first. Because if we don't find it within first, of course, we're going to consume it. I'm not saying to not buy things, to stop consuming, but I'm saying be conscious, be aware. Celebrate in ways that are going to support you and to support the earth. That's my only mission here, is to learn how to kind of, support myself so that I can support the earth in a way that's going to allow her to be around for generations to come. I want my kids to enjoy this earth. I want my grandchildren and my children's children and my, all that. I want my legacy to enjoy earth. I want to be deeply connected to the earth, and I think this time of year we're kind of trapped in the money, and we're not connected to our spirits and to our bodies. So that's my message for today. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope this was healing for you. If you'd like to connect with me more, you can find me on Instagram. I'll leave all that information below, and I hope you have a lovely day. I'm sending you so much love, and have a happy, happy holiday if you celebrate Christmas. I'm sending you so much love. Take care.